Hello, welcome to the TechHub Picks Cycles Measures Challenge. We are going to create two tables in Power BI that each shows the number of purchases made by customer and total gross margin by bike ID. So by now, I'm gonna assume that you're able to import files from external sources to Power BI. So you have to make sure you have all three tables, bike export, customer info, and invoice export. So we're going to create two tables. Obviously it's empty still because we did not put any data in it. So we are going to create the number of purchases made by each customer. So we're going to create new measure, which is this. So number of purchases is the count of invoice export customer ID. So we are bringing the customer ID from invoice export because we don't want to include customer ID from customer info table because that does include customer ID who have not purchased the product. So if we bring the customer ID and maybe their first name, and we are going to add this measure. It's not sorted yet. To sort that, go to more options and sort by and number of purchases. That way we can sort the number of purchases. So in order to create the measure, I had to click on any column name, right click on any column name within the invoice export and create new measure, and then change the name of the measure to number of purchases and use count function and write this down within the parentheses invoice export customer ID. That's how I got this new measure. Same idea, we're going to need a total gross margin. To do that, I recommend you to create this cost of goods sold column. I created this before I took this video, so this is basically to save us time. We are referring cost of goods sold that is in the another table. That way we don't have to refer to another table every time we use the cost of goods sold. So cost of goods sold is now in the invoice export. Okay, so as I mentioned in the instruction, the formula for total gross margin is the revenue minus quantity sold multiplied by the cost of goods sold. So we're going to create the new measure, right? New measure to get the total gross margin. It is the sum of total sales value, which is revenue, minus it is quantity multiplied by the cost of goods sold. I'm going to use SUMX function instead of sum because I'm going to explain later that is more accurate way when you use the multiplication row by row. Okay, so when you use SUMX, you have to put the table first, invoice export, and I'm going to use COGS multiplied by the number of purchases. So because I already created one, like it says my new measure is duplicate, so I'm gonna just add one next to the name. Okay, so I am going to bring the bike ID, maybe bike model name, and the measure that I just created. And this is not accurate because I brought the wrong name. We need to use the quantity sold for instead. So we need to use quantity. That is correct number. So here's why we use SUMX instead of sum, because sum only adds or subtract or multiply, divide that are in total. So it doesn't do calculation by row and then add them up. Instead, it just only looks at the total and then they do it. So if you use the sum function instead of SUMX, you might have gotten a random number like negative 88 million something something. So if you want to add up the number that is like in, if you want to add up the number that are like multiplication cases, so it is more accurate to use the SUMX. Thank you very much.